So what's the one word you think that has been used most in all the presentations we have seen today and yesterday? Impact, purpose, right? I mean, most of the sessions were about this particular construct, in a sense, right? Now, in a sense, impact, I mean, we've always been concerned with impact, but typically we would be talking about academic impact, or maybe managerial impact, or industry impact. But now, there's a strong need to go beyond this and talk about and focus on societal or social impact, right? And why is that? Well, because on the one hand, we are educating, training, producing the leaders of the future, or the decision makers of the future. And at the same time, the world is facing all these big, wicked problems. And remember, I just referred to the 17 SDGs or Andrew's 8 global concerns that he presented this morning, right? So our stakeholders demand or expect and demand that we actually do something to address all these wicked problems. All stakeholders, including AMBA and BGA. You probably know that AMBA has reviewed its principles, and nowadays, and from now on, social impact, societal impact is one of the main pillars. So if you want to maintain your accreditation, or if you want to be accredited, then there's a strong need on you to provide the evidence that you're really creating a societal, a social impact. Right? So how to do this? Because that's not so easy. And we talked a lot about knowledge and skills and competencies, but actually if you really want to create a societal impact, then it is going to impact all our operations, right? Research, outreach, faculty management policies, maybe even your accreditation policies, admission policies, but for sure also your curricula. But if you want to create a societal impact through your curricula, it's not just about knowledge or theory or about practice or about competencies and skills. No, it's about disposition and attitudes and values. And that's a lot harder to instill with our students. So how to do it? That's actually the big question that we try and maybe answer or address in this particular session. So my name is Stefan de Velde. I'm the former Dean of Rotterdam School of Management in the Netherlands. I stepped down as a Dean, and now I'm a member of the International Management Board of AMBA, and I also happen to be the chair of the International Accreditation Advisory Board. Well, joined for this panel, I will be by Lina Stella from Uniandes and Ernesto Barrera from INALDE. And both universities are, as you probably know, from Bogota, although INALDE is a little bit in the suburbs, Chia, if I remember correctly. Right, good. So my first question, could you please introduce yourself a bit and tell us a little bit about your backgrounds, your careers, and maybe also your personal purpose?
Ladies first? Okay.
Please.
My name is Lina Stella. I am director of the part-time MBA and the executive MBA at the School of Management of Universidad de los Andes. I am industrial engineer, and I have a master in business administration and a marketing specialization. I developed a large part of my professional experience in marketing, working in national and international companies, multinational companies, at local and regional levels. I worked in the public sector as a member of the team in advisor team in the Foreign Trade Ministry. And while it was going on, the link with Uniandes was strengthened. And during the 15 years, I worked like as professor in marketing area, in innovation, new products development, marketing research, And I was director of the Master in Finance and the Master in Marketing. And in my free time, I am member of 2 board of directors of 2 big companies in Colombia.
And what makes you tick? So what makes you happy? I mean, bridging the previous session. What makes you happy in your work?
To transform the life of my students, because to have an MBA program in Uniandes is a transforming experience for our students, especially for our leadership model in terms of the personal transformation and the managerial transformation too. But the personal transformation is key for me.
Okay. Ernesto?
Thank you. My name is Ernesto Barrera. I work at Inalde Business School. I am academic director for the whole school. I'm in charge of research, teaching, and all the operation, the academic operation. I have a PhD, an MBA, and I have the best profession in life. It's a lawyer. I'm a lawyer. So it's I've been transforming myself in life because I started with this profession, a lawyer, and now I am a marketing professor. And I do research in digital transformation and also in family business. That's all.
Okay.
Thank you.
So
and what makes me happy is serving to people.
In general?
In general, yeah.
Okay.
And writing. I love writing.
Okay. So we talked a lot about how schools can make an impact, right? And the need to make a positive impact. So how are your schools trying to do this? Or your universities, maybe?
Please, Lina. Again.
Ladies first, okay. We don't have an institutional definition for social impact.
Is that a problem if you don't have a specific?
Yes, but because we work with the umbrella sustainability concept that integrates financial, environmental, and social impacts. But we work in generate a different managerial mindset in our students that allows them to work conscious, systematic, in a conscious, systematic, and sustainable manner, different way, in a different way.
Well, we are working in this and making a definition for social impact. We are trying to work in SDG. That's what we are now thinking about. How can we impact through research in society and having SDG as a filter for that. And also we have some activities with stakeholders. So I would say that SDG and stakeholders management is the way we are working social impact.
How do you incentivize maybe your faculty, you know, to focus on creating societal impact, right? At least in my school, a lot of professors want to lock themselves up and just focus on this very narrow piece of research. And that's very often how you make a career. So how do you incentivize your faculty to go beyond this?
Well, we start from our purpose, that is transforming society through leadership and through people working in companies. So our purpose is the main framework to incentivize this work in faculty. And also we do some volunteering working at Inalde with different stakeholders. For example, with female entrepreneurs, or low-income female entrepreneurs, and we use some partnerships to do this. So when you have the purpose of the school incorporated in your day-to-day work, it's easy to show some options for them to collaborate with programs, with different activities with stakeholders, and they raise their hand. It's not like saying you have to do this. No, it's not like an obligation or a duty, but something that they really want to do, driving this from the purpose.
Our mission statement makes sustainability as key point for our school. Therefore, we founded the academic sustainability area in 2015. Today we have 8 professors of the 25 full-time professors we have. And we have additional specialized masters related to this topic. We have master in development practice. We have master in environmental management. And we have a new online program, Master in Regeneration and Development, Sustainable Development. Therefore, for our school is a normal topic. The academic area seek to incorporate the responsible management in our programs, in our course syllabi, in class activities, in research projects. That is a common activity for our teachers.
And so your purpose, say, right, is that helping you in the job market to hire faculty? I mean, how is it impacting your hiring policies and your faculty management policies? So suppose I'm a faculty member and I think, come on, you know, this purpose of yours, of ours, I don't care. I just want to do research.
Well, at Inalde, we are really convinced that our faculty is purpose-driven. And we can say because of their behaviors and the way they think, the way they act with students, among us, you can see it in the day-to-day. And also, when you hire a professor, we ask about that. How do you feel about this purpose? And for us, it's important to have a match in that, but also the professor has to think about that. We can say that for keeping our faculty, this is important. For hiring and for keeping our faculty motivated, this is important. And we, sometime, maybe 5 years ago, we did some interviews with professors, and the main motivation for them to be at Inalde was their purpose.
I can imagine that you then have a stronger position in the job marketplace, right? Because everyone is seeking a meaningful purpose in life, in a sense, right? Yeah. So, Ernesto, I know that Inalde has a humanistic vision, right? And coming from Western Europe, I find it a very important and very difficult concept to understand. So what does it mean, a humanistic vision?
It's not that complicated, Steve. It's being oriented to people's needs. We understand organizations as a community of persons. You understand that the center of the organization is the human being. And it's a vision that is integral. It's not only in the job things, it's also their families, their growth as a person, and the job they have in the organization. So as a manager, if you have that humanistic vision of the organization, you have to think about the other. You have to think about their development in the organization.
So tying this to the previous session, so that means that if you are a manager, you would be responsible for the well-being of your
of course.
underlings. Yeah.
Of course.
So, and to what extent is this vision distinctive? So, Lina, you don't have this kind of vision then, or?
No, we have a vision to helping the students to growing in their personal leadership, considering the personal conditions, but not with this humanistic approach. We worked in other topics because we are defines our school as a school of management, not only a business school, rather than a business school. And that means in business discussions, we use debates on management of public affairs and non-profit organizations with other focus, different for this humanistic version, okay?
So going back to school, and so how does your MBA portfolio look like? So you've got different MBA programs, right? But I can also imagine that maybe one particular MBA program is more suitable for creating an impact than another. Is that right, or does it make no difference?
We have 3 MBAs, online, part-time, and executive MBA. And we adjusted our portfolio from lessons and challenges arisen of the pandemic. We launched the last year the online MBA for applicants with at least 3 years of work experience and a duration of 2 years. And we implemented curricular changes in the part-time and the executive MBA in terms of the delivery of the programs, the content, less core courses and more elective courses, and problem and project-based learning as transversal methodology, but not the only methodology in our programs.
Okay. Well, we have an executive MBA with 2 delivery modes, weekends and once a month, 3 days. And we call it intensive MBA. But the student is the same. So it's like 38 years old, it's an executive MBA. And there is no difference between those modes or delivery modes. We focus especially in second year, in entrepreneurship, and it's part of our mission. And there is a project they have to take or present for their graduation. And there is a very platform, a very strong platform, or robust platform that help them to take or incorporate or incubate or accelerate an endeavor they have. We think this is part of our social impact because we are creating companies, we are creating jobs. The 16% of these projects become real companies. And 10% of these projects, in the last 5 years, we have 400 projects. 10% are social entrepreneurs. So I think it's a very good impact for this MBA, but it's no difference among those two, between those two.
So, you wanted
yes,
to
yes,
add?
because in our adjustment, more electives help to our students to have more impact because they are taking sustainability courses and courses that integrate other management areas with sustainability. And we combine this with the offer of the Center for Entrepreneurship and the Sustainable Finance Center too. Therefore, we are convinced that the mix of these different courses with sustainability as a content and the leadership development is a clear way to impact in our society.
So our MBA graduates are supposed to be agents of positive change, right? But then why would people do an MBA? To actually further their career. So there might be a clash of interest, right? So Ernesto, you said on average your MBA students are 38. Isn't that a little bit too late in life to change? Because we're talking about values and attitudes and disposition, right? So would it not be better to focus our attention on undergraduate students that are 18, 19-year-olds, right? Because they still can be molded.
Yes. If we ask our students at the end of the MBA about their experience at Inalde, and it's very common. They say, the MBA transformed my life, the way I think, the way I take decisions, even the way I interact with my family. So we have evidence in these interviews and this feedback we receive from students, the MBA, even if they have 38 years, that those 2 years of this experience in the MBA has the impact to transform the way they think, the way they act, and even their values and their attitudes. And it's amazing because it's always a question about that, but the evidence taken from our students says that it is possible to do it.
We have executive MBAs, for instance, look for a new stage in their lives. And entrepreneurship is a big opportunity for them, especially in technological startups. And they want to work with these all knowledge and experiences they received during the MBA. And they have to work in a different way in the new companies they found.
So going back to things we already talked about.
Just one thing about that is that maybe 7 years ago, 6 years ago, I wrote a paper that it was published in Cuadernos de Administración de Univalle about this, about the impact, transformating impact of the MBA at Inalde, for if anyone that wants to read it.
So to your mind, what are the best practices for changing or for integrating societal impact or social impact into your curriculum? So what kind of advice would you give to the audience, the other schools, how to do it?
We have a proposal to 2 stages. The first one is to give courses that include a conceptual basis of sustainability for our students. And the second stage has a practical approach with courses like consultantes, where students and professors provide consulting services free of charge for different types of organizations, especially small and medium-sized organizations that represent 90% of our productive sector in Colombia and that supply 80% of the employment. For the other 10% of the productive sector, we have courses called challenges, when students work hand in hand with managers and professors to solve real corporate problems that include sustainability and involve communities and other stakeholders. Maybe challenges, 3 in each program, are the best form to integrate social impact and knowledge and experience in the exit profile of our students.
Yes, we are looking out there in the environment what tendencies are, and we are incorporating some courses permanently. I can remember some recent ones, like circular economy, social impact of business, because here is another thing that is important for us and the social impact in the curriculum of the MBA is that even though we have some specific courses about this, like ethics, sustainability, circular economy, people and responsibility with people, we understand that all the courses have to have some ingredients, some elements of these sustainability matters. Our professors are generalistics. They have specialized knowledge about marketing, about finance, about strategy. But as a generalistic MBA, we expect of our faculty that they have the ability to integrate different knowledge in the company. They have to be in the real world doing consulting as a board members, for example. So they have to have the ability and to express in the classroom integrated knowledge, including sustainability, including the ethical criteria, not as a course specific in that we have, but also spread out about all the courses in the MBA.
Other facts that help in this is the assurance of learning system that measure the development and the real achievement in terms of professional competences in our program. But I think we have a challenge like programs because we need to measure the impact, the social impact in the performance after graduation of our students. Today we have measurements during the program, but not after the graduation. That is the next step for us.
Yeah. Some people argue that when people graduate, right, they really feel very responsible, but then after 1-2 years, it gradually evaporates, right? So that would be a very important exercise, I think. Yeah.
And also in each specialization, we have some cases, we incorporate some cases that we can download from Harvard Business School, IESE, or written by our faculty that even is a finance case, but is about social impact in the classroom. So our professors, driven by purpose, they are aware of bringing to the classroom cases in their field that are specific about sustainability, social impact, and also how to solve social problems through business models. The intersection between a problem, a social problem, and the business models. And some faculty are writing cases of social entrepreneurship and corporate social responsibility in the context of Colombia. Not only downloading cases from other databases, but also producing here in Colombia.
Yeah, for your own credibility, of course, right?
Yeah, right. And that's the way, some examples to integrate these topics to the classroom and the curricula.
So if you want to change your curricula, then in principle, you should backtrack all the way up to the learning outcomes or the learning goals, yeah. Right? So is that what you did a couple of years ago? Just looked at your learning outcomes and said, well, we need to have one, at least one, that explicitly addresses societal impact or sustainability?
We have learning goals related to sustainability, and our leadership model includes responsible and innovative innovation outcomes. And our students are convinced that this is a real commitment for our school because they share courses with other specialized master, the master in development practice, and they share classes with, for instance, Colombian African, Colombo African leaders and indigenous leaders in that master, because we have the Leaders Chains, a scholarship program. Under this program, we have 50 leaders recognized by their communities in the Pacific region in Colombia in our Master in Development practice.
Yes, we've seen in the classroom when some professor has written a case about social entrepreneurship and brings to the classroom to the protagonist. The protagonist, after they discuss the case, then the next session comes the person, the protagonist, to the classroom is very important and is inspiring for them. And we've seen that in the maybe 4 or 3 years, these numbers about social entrepreneurship in degree programs has raised, because we have taken more cases and we have written more cases about this topic.
So it's very hard to teach, I would say, sustainability, right? I mean, it's something you need to experience. So experiential work cases are very important. But then I guess you can't do it on your own. You need to partnership with other organizations. Are you doing this as well? And are these partnerships ad hoc, or are they more stable in a sense?
For our courses, challenges courses, we have partnership with companies to develop the challenge, to define the goals for and the consultancy reports for our students. And we have a partnership with some universities and centers for instance, the United Nations Network for Sustainable Development Goals, and for the finance, sustainable finance in our university. And especially we use the prime principles from United Nations to address this topic in our courses. But the main partnership is with companies for the practical approach in our courses.
For the living cases?
Yes.
Yeah.
The same is with companies, and also we have a partnership with the Chamber of Commerce of Bogota to impact these female small entrepreneurs and some other activities we do with them.
So before we go into Q&A, is there something you would like to add to what you already have said? Because maybe I forgot to ask a certain question. So is there something you would like to share beyond the questions I asked?
I would like to point out the implications of the definition of my school as a school of management, because this implies a different faculty structure with interdisciplinary faculty that help us to bring a different discussion about every topic in management in our schools. And we have a broad exposition of forums and many initiatives in terms of sustainability. This is a big difference, a significant difference to assume this social impact and the challenges that drive.
That's pretty far-reaching, then, I would say. Right?
Yes.
Ernesto, did I forget something?
Stakeholder management, research driven by purpose, teaching driven by purpose, And those are the things I would say as a conclusion.
And I would like to comment that here we have a new career opportunity for our students because Chief Sustainability Officer, Director of Sustainable Finance, or Brand Manager for Sustainable Portfolio are job positions more frequent. And we need to prepare our students for that challenges and to incorporate sustainability to the business decisions clearly.
Thank you both.
Thank you.
Let's look at the audience and see whether there are any burning questions. Gaston.
A brief clarification from Lina, please. I would like you to elaborate a bit more on what you meant to imply with the management characterization.
Okay.
I do need more about, you mentioned it, and or said it was important, and I would like to understand the...
Okay, Gaston, thank you. That, as I mentioned, that we are a school of management. That implies a different form to discuss about business in our university. We have a multidisciplinary faculty with different focus, not only in finance, marketing, organizations, and sustainability, for instance, is a specific academic area. And that implies that management about public affairs and non-profit organizations are common in our classes. Therefore, we have discussions in class not only with business leaders. We include governmental leaders, for instance, related to the peace process implementation, okay, with a broad perspective for our students. Okay.
Well, I have more a reflection that really contribution what you are doing at the university. But if you see, the title of the session is Integrated Social Impact into the MBA Curriculum. Therefore, the relationship between the mission of a university, it doesn't matter how you express that mission, but you have an obligation to provide society with good professionals. They will do the change, or they will have the impact in society. Therefore, the curricula should reflect how they will have social responsibility, how you change the curricula to offer to the society good professionals that will develop the change in the future. Then also, the mission of a university is create knowledge. And there are two ways to create knowledge: rigorous and relevant research, what they call it right now. In the past, when I was a student, was pure and applied. The applied research could be oriented to the MBA. Therefore, we should change the curricula to offer the students what they need to contribute to develop the society in the curriculum and also in terms of research. But research in the MBA is oriented to applied research or relevant research. That's my reflection.
Thank you.
Any thoughts?
Yes, in the curricula, it's important for us to integrate the ethical criteria as a part of their decisions. And each session of class, you integrate these criteria. And also the the prudential ability to take decisions, where you have to anticipate consequences of your decisions in the organizations and in society. So it's instilled in the whole MBA curricula, in the training we give these students, in the way they take decisions, the criteria they integrate in those decisions, the ethical, sustainability, and also the prudential criteria. It's very important here is what are the consequences of your decisions in people, in the organization, and in society. That's part of the answer to that title. Jorge, thank you.
I would like to ask, but more than asking, I would like to know about any kind of metrics you use to measure social impact. Because as I mentioned before, most of us speak about social impact, and we say that it is embedded in our curricula. But how can you measure, at least in Los Andes or in INALDE, because it's something we have struggled with along the way. So we say, okay, we create a huge impact in many of our stakeholders, but how can you realize and be sure that you are, in fact, achieving that goal?
The chart David presented this morning is part of our assessment system. And we have this leadership compass model with 3 measurements for a personalized assessment. Our students know how is their leadership at the beginning, in the middle, and at the end of the program. But as I mentioned, we have the measurement system during the MBA. We are sure about the transformation of our students because we review how they incorporate sustainability concepts in their making process, decision process. But we need to go to the next step with the measure of the impact after graduation. That is the next point.
This is under construction, of course. I think many schools are in this topic, but we measure, as I said before, the number of social entrepreneurs we have in the degree program is 10%. For example, you have one metric there. Also, we are looking at, in research, how many papers are dealing with SDG, for example. So we are constructing these indicators. You have 2 of those here. And also, as a business school, we have some activities with the community, the local community, how many people we are impacting through consultancy, not only for our professors, but also our alumni. We have a program for our alumni that they become consultants for small companies. So we count how many companies have been impacted by these alumni in this program. We also have a metric for measuring how many of our professors are in board of directors of ONGs, and doing some volunteer work in that way. So you can find many metrics that maybe we already have them. We already are working in this social impact, but we have to organize, identify these activities and put some metrics on those. I think it's like recognizing something that we are doing already.
Good. Any more questions? If not, then I would like to thank.
Clear. It's clear.
Well, no, I think the last question was very important. I think we're all struggling with this measurement problem. And there are different ways of doing it. So some people have anecdotes and cases, the number of jobs created, the number of entrepreneurs, you name it, right? And if you don't mind, I can do a little bit of cross-selling. Yesterday afternoon, Victor presented the BGA accreditation and the continuous impact model. Well, that gives very strong guidelines of how you can actually provide the evidence that you're also creating a societal impact, social impact in the long term. But remember, it's all about continuous improvement spirit, right? It's not like this is it and that's the final thing. No, we're all on a journey. Right? So join me in thanking the speaker.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Gracias.